The
I
celebration is the second half. So when the game
no.
ends, it's almost like, I went through all that celebrating and emotion already, as
And
opposed to that emotion hitting you at the very end of the 2018 one, when
it
you
was
was
it
like,
was
you could actually say it was over. You know what I mean?
it was crazy, and we'll get into it a little bit more when we bring our guest in. Our guest is there. We'll bring him in a second, because I realize now that there needs to be a change in my own thinking, and it's something that you and prior guests have tried to get me to do. And in that game, I realized you were right, and I'll get into this in a second.
Oh, I need to hear this one.
No, I will get into this in a second. Now, our guest this week, I had to bring him in because we talk a lot of sports with this brother, and as we are riding high on this world championship. So high, I almost pulled out my headsets. But we need to bring him in. Look, man, this man's got an empire right now, bro. This man's got an empire. Let me tell you something, Jonesy. We have talked about the Jonesy and Brown pull up. We need to pull up on this man's Monday night setup, man. I did it a couple of weeks ago. Had the time of my life. This man is up there. It was in Pike's Pub, right?
Yeah. I've been taking a break though, man. To be honest with you.
Nah. Break's over, man.
Yeah, man.
Break's over. It's time to start that back up, bro.
I got some other things cooking, so
okay.
I had to take a little peel back a little bit. But we're good.
Let me tell you, when this man comes back with whatever setup, Jonesy, we got to pull up, man.
Hey,
we definitely got to pull up. The star of the Tony Cotillo show, Mr. Tony Cotillo. We call him Jigsaw. What's going on, good brother?
What's up, boys? What's up, man? Listen,
man, you know what's up.
A better day to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I say Philadelphia Eagles because now, unfortunately, we got to look at the Sixers and talk about them. But what are you
talking about? Pitchers and catchers reported today.
Yeah, that's good.
Pitchers and catchers reported today. We're moving on, man.
Going straight to baseball.
We're going straight to baseball right now.
Listen, I gotta say though, man, like JB pulled up the Pike's Pub, and I will tell you, man, I had multiple people text me, be like, "Yo, who is that dude? He was smooth, newish, like." Everybody was talking about that, bro. Seriously,
I appreciate that, man. A time was had, bro. Definitely. We're a couple of days removed from the Super Bowl. End of the week is coming. We have a parade on our hands. Tony, how are you feeling right now?
Dude, I'm feeling ecstatic, man. Like it's crazy because a lot of people were saying that surreal hasn't sunk in yet. But I was one of them cats that was like, when it got to about a week before the bowl, I was like, you know what? I think it's going to feel okay to be confident. Like I did a little media tour, went on different radio stations, did a couple TV hits, and when people asked me, I was like, no, man, you know what? I'm confident. Like this, like I kept breaking down this team and saying, you know, okay, like in years past, it was if you stop Jalen, who's going to beat you? If you stop, you know, AJ, who's going to beat you? Now it was like, wait a minute. If I stop Jalen, then Saquon beats you. If I stop Saquon, then AJ beats you. If I stop AJ, Devon, like I was just too many people for this to just go in a toilet, man. Like we are predominantly better than the Chiefs. And listen, man, it just, they balled out. I mean, and I'm still, I watched it like 3 times already again, man. I love it. I do.
I feel like the game, a lot of people shared this sentiment with me in the sense that the blowout, a lot of people didn't call for the blowout, but they weren't shocked by the blowout. And for me, it was like I could have easily seen this happen. I thought the writing was on the wall for a blowout, but I did not want to get on this microphone and say, hey, the Eagles are going to beat the Chiefs and it's not going to be close. But
so JB, hold on real quick. Let me throw this in there because remember we talked last week
Mm-hmm.
And I said the one scenario that would make me nervous is if it's a close, less than one score or less game, and Mahomes has it late. But the scenario that I felt like we were not discussing or ignoring was the scenario where the Eagles were up 17 points late and it's a walk away.
No, you're
what I
right.
didn't see was 34-0 before they got on the board. I didn't see it, but I did see a possibility where the Eagles could be up 2 scores and pulling away late. But how surprised were you, Tony, by this complete domination the Eagles displayed?
Listen, I'm going to tell you, Tuesday night, and I keep receipts. So when I was on V's and I told them, they asked me for a prediction. I said 38-21 Eagles. So, and again, I didn't expect it to be at one point 40-6, right? But listen. After, I know a lot of people say they weren't feel comfortable. I'm watching my dad. My dad's 70. He was like, never feeling comfortable. I kept telling him, Dad, it's okay. I'm telling you, they got like 40 points. He's like, I don't like them scored. I'm like, Dad, they're going to score. There's nobody in the game. Like, we got a backup quarterback in, for Christ's sake. When does that happen in a Super Bowl? But listen, when that first PI happened, that bogus PI, and with the ease that they went down, I was like, wait a minute, man. Like, that's the one thing I thought that they could attack, and I was like, it's going to be a long game for KC. And then when we went up 17, obviously, I know it's cliche, but the Cooper DeJean, that pick, like, just so how symbolic that pick was, and it was such a tempo to air. And then you looked at the sideline, and they all looked defeated. Like Andy Reid, you just looked at Andy Reid. It was like, he was like, man, like, he felt it. He's been around. He knew what was going on. So I was like, I walked in confident, and then Susan went up 17-0. I honestly was ready to pack it in and said, this game's over.
And that's exactly what I was just saying. Telling JB, it was like, we went up 17-0. I said game over. And the second half was almost anticlimactic because it like. Yep. I'm already in celebration mode. This game is over. I accepted that we won. It settled in. And so like in 2018, where it comes down to the strip sack at the very end, and then we all burst into excitement when that play happens. This one was a little different.
Such a different feeling.
No, and Jonesy, that goes into what I was alluding to earlier. I realize that there needs to be a difference. I need a shift in my mentality, because you are absolutely right. But I was one of those people. I'm sitting up there and I'm like, I took my cue from the quarterback. I refuse to feel comfortable until there are zeros on the clock. I'm sitting up here and you're absolutely right. When it's 34-0, yes. You know what? The game was over 40-6. Yeah, come on, man. Yes, I understand that common sense says that game was over, but I'm sitting over here thinking, you know what? I don't want history to say the Eagles were like it. 28-3 in the fourth quarter. Hold my beer. And I'm sitting up there like, oh, okay. I refuse. Yes, game was over. And if you look at now, there were so many signs where it almost looked like the Chiefs had quit in their eyes. You look at the replays now. Travis Kelce during that when he just quits on that one play where I believe Chiefs had a free play because we jumped off sides. Patrick Mahomes is scrambling for his life, and Travis Kelce's just, what do you want me to do?
Yep.
Chris Jones on the sideline. That's something that an Eagle would have been killed for. We over here mad because A.J. Brown's reading books.
And you book out during the Super Bowl too.
Had a fresh copy of the book out too, so I have no complaints.
Yeah, he did. I like that.
But nonetheless, I now realize, and it has become painfully obvious to me that I need to stop having fear and being confident in this team, because this is a young team. This isn't a team of a bunch of the right mix of veterans thrown together that was able to do something special. This is a group built to win now with a true legitimate window.
You're absolutely right.
Core players are here. This is a team that could, and maybe going in the next time, we'll be going in the next season, we'll say should be back there next year. And it's okay to say that, and it's okay to have confidence in this team. And that's something, Jonesy, that was something that you were telling me, hey, this is a better team. This is a really good team. And I was, I'm afraid to just pull the handle and just say, hey, you know what? Yes, I do believe, and I understand, and I admit it, and I told many people who asked me, hey, yes, the Eagles are better than the Chiefs.
So, but, JB, now that we've actually
the blowout
won
wasn't
the title,
shocking.
closed the deal, I'm going to go ahead and say this.
Go ahead. You got
this year's Eagles team is one of the best teams I've seen in the NFL, period, in my lifetime. Not just best Eagles teams, best teams from any franchise I've seen in my lifetime. I'm 46 years old. I've been watching football since I was a child. Offense, defense, passing game, running game, can stop the run, can defend the pass. You have depth. You have dominance on the O-line, dominance on the D-line. Like, what else could you want from a team?
No,
unless you're going to tell me you're replacing Jalen Hurts with Tom Brady or Joe Montana. Like, what else do you really want?
Yep. I agree, man. I agree. Me and you were the same age, man. And it's like, I kept saying, everybody kept talking about best team in Eagles history, but I'm like, nah, man, like, this is like one of the best teams in NFL history. Like, if you look back and you peel it off, and you look at Super Bowl champions, obviously I remember 85 Bears, and people talk about the 88 or 84 Niners, I forget what team, but you look at it, and even that dominant Ravens defense in 2000, this was a better clinic put on from a defensive team than the Ravens, who listen, we know the lineage of that team, right? I think that everything just seemed to like come together at the right time. And Jay, I mean, I get it. In the beginning, like we didn't know this team was that good. We couldn't have said this team was that good. We had no idea, right? Even though the offense looked okay, it was like, can the defense stack up? Because we were so bad last year, right? But then, you know what? It took a little time, but Vic had those boys rolling, man, and I mean, the biggest ones that look like egg on her face are all them yahoos out there in Miami that says they couldn't play for Vic. They didn't want to listen to Vic. You know what I mean? Yeah, come on, man. Stop.
And a lot of people, it's like you the people who gave up on Mekhi, the players in Miami, the guys who gave up on Mekhi Becton, the guys who didn't believe in Zach Bond.
Yep.
All of those guys. Those are the people who look bad. Guys who wouldn't pay Saquon. The Giants just look like they just need to be contracted right now. Every Giants fans right now got to be sick to their stomach.
Yeah, I listen, and I think that's why there's so much talk about Howie, because of how bad other GMs are around the NFL. I mean, look, like, listen, all right, Kellen Moore, you got your bag. I can't fault you for that, but you went to a team that's deplorable, man. You went to a team that's in cap hell, a team that has no future for the next 2 years because they don't know how to manage the salary cap, right? I mean, I got Joe Burrow coming out, calling out his GM, saying, yo, look at the Eagles. They were able to pay all these guys. Why can't we? Like, we are, we laugh, boys. I remember, what is it, like 4 or 5 years ago when Howie and Jeff called themselves the gold standard, and we were like, get out of here, dog. Like, the gold standard, that's the Patriots. Nah, bro, it's the Eagles right now. Like, everybody wants to be the Eagles, and the way they've managed these players. I'll tell you, man, and the silent assassin of this is all these other players. I shot out Myles Garrett that see what's going on just from a culture standpoint, from a camaraderie standpoint, by saying, yo, man, these guys take care of each other. I'll take an extra, a $4 million cut to go to this team because I know I can win a ring. That's what made the Patriots so good for so long, because guys want to go there on 1-year deals to win a ring. So now we've become that destination, man. And I'll tell you what, man, it's a great feeling. It really is.
From literally, it's not just I'm not just saying it to put it out there, but literally from top to bottom, it's A+ effort. Because you look at how Howie Roseman has split, how he draws up these contracts to be able to say, I'm going to get Jalen paid. I'm going to pay Devontae. I'm going to pay AJ Brown. I'm going to get these rookies. Like, people are going to get paid. But it's also, you see how he does it with these front-loaded deals. And, well, hold on. Jonesy, say something, because I don't think I can hear you. All of a sudden, I lost you, bro.
Yeah, I don't hear his mic.
Yeah, Jonesy, I lost you, bro. Oh. See, there you go. That's some Commanders fans out there trying to take Jonesy out the game, man. That's some angry Cowboys fans that trying to take Jonesy out the game, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Thought the Cowboys was trying to take you out the game. Go ahead, man.
Where were we at? Lost my train of thought.
We're talking about Howie Roseman getting everybody paid.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So Howie Roseman, he's got it in a situation where not only does he know how to finesse, like Saquon Million, everybody's talking about 3 years. What was it, 39 million?
Yeah, something like that.
13 million a year total value of the contract. Saquon's cap hit this year was 3.5 million. That's the wizardry of Howie Roseman. He knows how to finagle these things where he's like, you know what? We believe in you. We're going to invest in you. Take this guaranteed money up front. We can make the cap number work because we believe in you and we're willing to invest in you. And that allows us a lot of flexibility to keep a lot of players at the same time. You've got 60% of your O-line under contract. And Mekhi Becton, we'll see what happens with him. Cam Jurgens, you still have, another 2 years on his rookie deal? So you're in great shape on your O-line. And by the time you've got to pay Jurgens, we'll see where Lane Johnson is in his career. And I honestly feel very comfortable, not that you'll find a replacement for Lane Johnson, but that when the time comes, the Eagles will be able to find a replacement for Lane Johnson.
Right. Gentlemen, you want to hear something funny? I got something that might make both of you snicker, chuckle a little bit. So in my conversations with other sports fans this week, guy legit told me, because he believes this in his heart, said Howie Roseman is the second best GM in the NFC East.
Second best? To who? Washington?
Yeah.
Washington?
Yeah. I've heard that before, to be honest.
So they got rid of their ownership, have one decent season, they draft the right QB,
yes,
and he's all of a sudden the best.
No, he's the best GM. I'm like, dude, everyone else in the league, not even just the NFC East, y'all, they're playing checkers while Howie's playing chess.
Wasn't always the case, though, right?
No, but
after the Jalen Rager draft, we wanted Howie's job.
Yeah,
hey, man. Let me say, I think we gotta give some thanks to Chip Kelly, right? Because if I know it sounds crazy, but number one, thank you, Lane Johnson, thank you, Zach Ertz, but to Chip Kelly, if he doesn't put baby in the corner and Howie doesn't take that little gut punch, if Howie takes it seriously, Howie's like, yo, man, like maybe I do have to work a little harder. Maybe my scouting has to get a little better. Maybe I got to do something. And if you notice, he missed on Rager and missed on a couple, but eventually 2021, 2022, 2023, 24. Their first 3 picks hit every single damn time. Yes. Like that's unheard of, man. So, listen, the other thing is I want to mention, like you said, JB, with the belief, and I know you guys heard the mic'd up thing when he was saying to Saquon, see, I told you to trust me. I told you to trust me. That's the thing. He signs these guys like when AJ Brown came over with the trade, he knew he was going to pay AJ Brown down the line. Like, and he told him, listen, man, like, and when you make good on your word with one superstar player, everybody knows you're good now. Like, Howie's going to take care of me. He's going to come restructure me down the road to get me more money down the line. Like Lane Johnson restructured like 7 times. Like, I mean, that's what he does because these guys know he's good for it. This team's not going anywhere, man. Like, it's not going anywhere. You mentioned Becton. Listen, it's a great story, man. It's a great story. He won't be here next year. Like,
you don't think Becton's
yeah, you can't. I mean, you have serviceable replacements. Obviously, they're not as big and as brawly and as a presence as Mekhi Becton, but you're going to have to make these decisions, right? You drafted Tyler Steen for a reason. You drafted guys for a reason that, do you want to pay Bourne or do you want to pay Becton? Because you don't want to hold Becton back either. He had a long journey. He had a long road. This is his chance to get his bag off his rookie contract, right? So, and if you can't give it to him, you gotta let him go get it, man. Like, you can't be mad.
You can't be
mad at these guys.
No.
The man came here for relatively cheap this year,
right?
Dominated at his position
and won a Super Bowl.
Actually, got an All-Pro vote and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think
that is
a change. Yeah,
somebody's willing to give him $10 million a year next year. Great.
That's part of the mentality change as well. Yep. I don't think that as fans we can go into the offseason expecting a bunch of players signing team friendly deals. No. It's like, look, man, these guys have earned the opportunity to go get paid. Go get your money, and I understand. I'm not going to be mad at anybody. I would like to see Zach. I would like to see Zach Bond back. I'd like to see Mekhi Becton back. I hope they're at the top of the list. I might be angrier if we somehow miss out on both, but if we get one of them back, I'm cool. I'm good.
But here's one thing I will say though. Like right now, the Eagles are listed as 12th from the bottom of the list as far as cap space going in the next year at $21 million. But there are also a couple things you're going to consider. James Bradbury is likely to come off the books this offseason. Darius Slay also likely to come off the books this offseason. And those are fairly significant numbers.
Brandon Graham
will come off.
Brandon Graham's probably going to retire. Yep.
You'll probably move on from Milton Williams.
Yep.
So by the time you actually get to free agency, Howie will have some room to work with.
Not worried at all.
100%.
Not worried at all. I'm not worried at all. No, we good. We in a good spot right now.
Yeah, we are. The Patriots made a living at doing this, right? And we got to also pay homage to Jalen Hurts a little bit because Jalen could have sat back and wait. Remember, it was that fight for those quarterbacks. Who's going to sign first? Who's going to set the market value, right? Nobody wanted to do it because everybody wanted to be the guy to get more money, right? Jalen was like, I'll do it. He set the market. He took a Tom Brady type deal. Okay, to be again $6-7 million less. We think it's nothing. It's a lot. $7 million a year on your cap is a lot of money, man. So like he afforded the Eagles the opportunity to be able to be competitive every year. He's smart, man. He's smart. Yeah. Dude bought a $275,000 house in Texas, man. Like he's happy. He's like, I don't need all the I don't need all this pimp stuff, man. I'm good. So you know what I mean? Good for us, man. You know what I'm saying? Good for us. I like that. I like
exactly.
That. Absolutely. And you mentioned it like an extra $7 million, like, $7 million. That's 2 Saquons.
Yep.
Howie Roseman.
Yep. Exactly.
You give, and it's like you talk about, you talk about the GM being able to be held to his word. So your quarterback takes a team, he takes a friendly deal, and what does he go out and get? The best running back available.
Yep.
I'm just going to get you Saquon Barkley to sit behind you. No more Miles Sanders for you. No more DeAndre Swift. I'm gonna go get you Saquon. You sign on the bottom. You sign on the dotted line for me. I'm gonna go get you Saquon. That's what I'm gonna do. Now you go win me a championship.
Yep.
Now what?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that will sit with players a little differently. Like, it's one thing if you want to be Cincinnati's front office where you want to be cheap with players and you're not spending that money to go load up with other guys. Howie, like, for example, Jalen Hurts got a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging $50 million a year over this contract.
He's not missing any mills.
The thing is, his cap hit doesn't go over $30 million, I think, until the second to last year of the deal.
Yep.
Howie's a wizard with that structure, and that what that allows them to do. And you do work the same process with all of your star players. They get their money, but that cap hit is much lower than the Cowboys' cap hit for their quarterback or Minnesota's cap hit for their wide receiver. So you get the better player, you give them competitive money, but on paper, you have room for everybody. Howie Roseman is a cheat code.
Yeah, and you have a owner that will get his back. You have an owner who's willing to shell out that money up front in order to go get those types of players. Because not every owner is going to do that. Not every owner is going to say, "Hey, put this money, make this much guaranteed money."
I'm gonna have to write that big one-time check and that signing bonus. That's the thing. Not every owner is willing to do that.
Yeah, not every owner is willing to do that. So you have an owner. And a lot of times, and this is something, Jonesy, you and I have talked about, especially in basketball, but it works in football too, where owners are more concerned with filling up that arena, filling up that stadium, selling that merch, and making that money than they necessarily are in winning championships.
There's so when in our division, we could say that about.
Exactly. They didn't just DC. They didn't just ran an owner out of town who was absolutely built on that.
That's not. And there's still
no. I'm because there were more than one in our division.
Good point.
But nonetheless, when you have an owner who is actually dedicated to winning. And that's what we have, where your owner's on board, your GM's on board, your coach is on board, your quarterback's on board, and it just trickles down. That's how it is.
Speaking of which, something else that just popped in my head. It also looks like Vic Fangio is comfortable being a defensive coordinator. It doesn't seem that he's even thinking about dipping his toe back into the head coaching market at any point, maybe ever again, which means we could have our long-term coordinator like we did with Jim Johnson, which means you could really build a structure.
He's home.
He's home.
No, but it's like when we talk about the culture and how Vic Fangio fits into the culture. But it's also, it's on both sides of the ball. Whereas, like, it looks like Vic Fangio ain't going anywhere. Jeff Stoutland ain't going nowhere either.
You ain't lying there, man. He's right. These guys are lifers, man, and it's where they want to be.
This is, this is an organization that has taken care of them.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Imagine Fangio from last year with Miami. The guys basically saying, "Oh, he's too hard on us." To come into Philly, where guys like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis were at the beginning of the year saying, "Oh, we love how this guy is. He coaches us hard, and it's great." That difference, that pairing of players and coaching, the personality blend, you get results like this.
But it goes hand in hand into how this organization has worked. He left Miami with a whole bunch of prima donnas who are more focused on partying on South Beach and doing whatever. And he says, "Hey, come on over here and coach all these Georgia Bulldogs who just came for the national championship, who now want to win a championship at the next level."
Yep.
And how many times have we talked about teams playing like their best players? When your best players on that defense all came from a program that was winning championships. Not just hey, they won one. This is a team that's built for winning. That came from a program that won championships.
Yep.
And now they come to this level, and now that's what they want to do. And you got a coach, you got a defensive coordinator who looks like he ain't going nowhere. They practice against one of the greatest offensive line coaches in the game. We talk about that the slow build of this offense, this culture. That offensive line, that offensive line, all draft picks with the exception of Becton. And we have a draft pick that we're willing that is able to step in. Yes, yep. There is a draft. If they wanted to go once again with a offensive line of all draft picks.
Yep. And they're all
guys that they all locked up. Except guys that they drafted. They literally came into the league built for this, built to just extract their will on other teams.
Yep. And the crazy thing is, and this should seem so simple, right? Mm-hmm. But you draft guys finally from prestigious collegiate institutions that are coached by pretty hardcore, well-known football guys that play prototype NFL systems, right? Like you're getting the intelligence factor of these guys. I mean, listen, you mentioned Jalen Carter. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea this dude was such a student of the game. I mean, that dude is his football IQ is through the roof, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people would always say, you know what? The scary part is he doesn't even know how good he is. For me, it's the opposite. The scary part is he does know how good he is. And he knows he can't be stopped by anybody. People brought up Aaron Donald. To me, I'm pushing him aside. Like, for me, I've always said I go against grain a little bit, but I've always said that Ndamukong Suh is the most dominant defensive attacker I've ever seen play in the game. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Jalen Carter, just with this year, has already proved to be just as dominant, and he's just getting started. Like, that's the crazy part.
Jalen Carter's 24 years old. Oh, he's just now starting to get the grown man strength.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just getting there. Like, what he can do over the next 5 years.
God.
When he's really in his prime. You thought, like, I watch games all season and watch defense, like, every play. Jalen Carter ruins offenses. Oh, Jalen Carter destroyed that play. Oh, man, Jalen Carter, like, even though he's not necessarily making the tackle or getting the sack, just his ability to get that push straight up the middle and be in your backfield. So now you have to adjust where you set your pocket or where your running lanes are, because he just destroyed your offensive game plan.
Yep. 100%, man. 100%. He's a treasure to watch, man. Mm-hmm. He's a treasure to watch. And I thought one of the coolest parts, I forget who the interview was with, but it was Nolan Smith was interviewed by somebody, and after the game, and they asked him about what it feels like. And the first thing he said, man, he was like, "Yo, man, I gotta shout out to Vic Fangio." He goes, "Yo, I know he's old. But man, that old guy, I'll take whatever he gives me." Like, there's a young guy saying, "Yo, give it to me," because he's showing him it works. Like, and I think that is. I don't know. I want to ask you guys how you feel about this, because I came in. First of all, I took a lot of heat in the off season because when they signed Saquon, I was a huge. Everybody called me a homer, man. Like I had my series producers that texted me every week, bro. Maybe you were right. Maybe because I kept telling everybody this dude is going to change the game. Because I knew how dominant our O-line was, and I was like, he never ran behind anything like this before, right? So, if you think about it, I think the NFL as a whole this year is going to start to change. And what I mean by that is Derrick Henry and Saquon. Obviously, we've talked about it, and I said this in August that I felt like they were going to change the market value of running backs because they both went to great systems that were going to utilize them in a specific way, right? But
and I would also throw Josh Jacobs in that too.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs with Green Bay, another fantastic year, right? Also, coaches. I think for so long these teams want this shiny new toy. They wanted the inventive new coordinator, but recently the veteran guys are proven to be coming back, right? You see the success of Vic Fangio, Steve Spagnuolo, right? Obviously they're in the Super Bowl. But you start to see these guys, you go, oh, you know what? Maybe we don't need to shine into maybe experience actually rules out a little bit, right? Like not everybody has to be a TikTok machine. You can actually you actually can have credit in the game, man. Like, and I think that slowly, I think it might change back to that in the NFL. I think that's a good thing. It really is.
I agree. Like, I mean, even taking it back a couple years, like before injury set in, what Christian McCaffrey did for San Francisco.
Yep.
Like the running back, especially these star running backs, there is true value there. When we signed Saquon, I was with you. I was extremely excited to see what he could do behind our offensive line. JB, I said this either last week or 2 weeks ago, and I said it on my guy James Lewis's show on Sirius XM. That's where I said it first. What this offensive line does with Stoutland as the run game coordinator / offensive line coach, they will add 600 to 800 yards to your running back season. Look at Miles Sanders with the Eagles versus what happened to Miles Sanders when he went anywhere else. DeAndre Swift, look what his yards per carry were here because they gave him limited attempts. I guess maybe they just didn't. They knew more than we did about how good he actually was. We're just seeing, oh, he's getting decent yards behind this O-line. It's this O-line and running scheme. They'll add 600 to 800. So when you give me a 1,200 yard back, a 1,400 yard back with Saquon, and then add him in this system, you have a 2,000 yard back now. That's what this offensive line will do for a running back.
100%.
No, I agree. No, exactly. You know, you talk about what this O-line did for Miles Sanders and who Miles Sanders was. Miles Sanders was Saquon's backup. So if you got Saquon's backup looking like a stud behind his O-line, what is Saquon going to do behind his O-line?
Exactly.
And just like you said, you see what Miles did in Carolina, what Swift did in Chicago. Can't even touch it. Doesn't even come close. It's not even close.
Nope. Not at all.
Nah, and it's once again, I mean, it once again speaks to the point of what this team represents and where it's come. And as both of you have said, you know, this is easily starting to become you're putting this in greatest team ever. Greatest team in Eagles history. And now you're gonna, as time goes on, how it compares historically against the rest of the league, because they were going into the Super Bowl against a team playing for a three-peat, a team that was looking to replace the prior dynasty on the pedestal as the best ever. You know, we talked about where a three-peat would have put the Chiefs in historical lore. I know that Tom Brady and the Patriots won 6 together. Never three-peated, but they won 6 total.
Still amazing.
And I wondered what a three-peat would do. I understand that 3 ain't 6, but still 3 in a row is 3 in a row.
3 in a row, and that'll have been their 4th before Mahomes turned 30. That will put you in rare air.
Yeah. You know, sometimes it's not necessarily the quantity, but the quality. It's like, all right, you win 4 before your quarterback turns 30, and including 3 in a row, that might, that might have you jump a few steps.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have to have that conversation.
No.
Because 40 to 22. Because at no point in time did Tom Brady lose 40 to 22 in a game.
And it's not a situation where people could say, oh, they got cheated. Oh, the refs did this. Oh, it was a lucky bounce. No, you got dominated from beginning to end.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you listen to Mahomes' brother, he thinks that the refs were a problem. Jackson needs to keep his mouth shut, man.
I don't think I don't think in the history of brothers has a brother need to be told to shut up as much as Patrick Mahomes' brother.
Think about it, though.
First of all, you look at Patrick Mahomes' whole family sold him out this weekend. His pop is out here. His dad is fighting John Rocker in the street.
You see John Rocker, by the way?
How do you find John Rocker? For real? Not only did Patrick Mahomes' dad find John Rocker. Like, who was looking for John Rocker? Who was looking for him? Who was saying, hey, you know what, man, while I'm out here in the streets, I'm going to go out here and find me John Rocker. And then we going to fight.
I mean, come on, man. Then you got your wife coming out. Like, please stop. It's just giving you that bad name, man. I know he can't help it, but let me ask you guys this.
His whole family sold him out this weekend, dude. Man.
It was bad for him, man. It was bad. But, you mentioned it. And, I've said this, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this, because I think this game and what we did here meant more than us beating the Patriots. And the only reason why I say that is you beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, right? Two obviously GOATs. On this team, you beat a Hall of Fame quarterback, future Hall, and Patrick Mahomes, a Hall of Fame tight end that you made look average at best in Travis Kelce, a Hall of Fame coach in Andy Reid, a Hall of Fame coordinator in Steve Spagnuolo, and you had all 4 of them dudes lost. Like at the end of the day, you domination out of what you had these Hall of Fame cats completely confused, not knowing what to do. Oh, by the way, another future Hall of Famer in Chris Jones. So you got 5 dudes on this team going to the Hall, and you just completely demoralized every single one of them. That is not easy to do. So I think this goes a little bit above that Patriots win. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think.
Chris Jones on his hands and knees in total disgust will live rent free in my mind for the rest of my life. When I remember this game, him just falling down on the ground, just like, oh my God, we're done.
And I agree. Like, the win over the Patriots will always be special because that's our first one.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's always going to have that special place. Like, we went all those years. You guys are the guys in the division that don't have one. And then we got one against Tom. Not just against anybody, against Tom. So that was always going to have a special place. But objectively speaking, this one was better. Like, we just remove that sentimentality of that first one being the first one. And just examine the 2 rides. Oh, yeah, this is better.
It's crazy.
And I think that it speaks to what we were talking about earlier. And it's like accepting the new reality. Whereas, Super Bowl 52, to an extent, we were happy to be there. We weren't sure what was going to happen because we were playing with a backup quarterback. And we were playing the Patriots, which were a dynasty. But in this time, Super Bowl 59, and even, going back real quick to Super Bowl 57, where we're in Jalen Hurts' second year as a starter. And we were, we just weren't sure yet. We weren't sure what we had. We weren't sure if this was just a team overachieving. This is, Sirianni's second year as coach. So we weren't sure what was going on. And we knew the Chiefs, once again, this is a Chiefs team that had been dominant. This year, we knew this team was supposed to go. They were supposed to be there. This was a team expected to win. This was a team that all of us, whether we admitted it or not, and we talked about this before, being able to actually being brave enough to verbalize the truth that, hey, it could be a blowout. I was afraid to say it. I was afraid to jinx things when I thought, hey man, Eagles could win, and it couldn't. And there's a possibility that it's not going to be close.
Yeah, no, it's understandable.
But this is a team that deserved to be. That's what makes it different. Being able to embrace, hey, this wasn't no underdog.
Nah,
this wasn't an underdog team. No. This wasn't a team defying the odds.
No, this team was the bully. It's one thing as like Nick Sirianni. We all get on him about his aggressiveness sometimes, his being emotional and thick. But the one thing I honestly can say I have seen Nick Sirianni do in his time here, and he's not the culture. He's established a mentality among his players where they approach the game like they're the bully. 2 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, they dominated on the O-line, they dominated on the D-line, at 70-some sacks. So now this year's team, they weren't the same high-rate sack team, but they were the bully on defense. They were more violent, if you will, than the team from 2 years ago that lost in the Super Bowl. That we would play teams that hadn't turned the ball over in 4 weeks. Now they have 5 turnovers against us, and 4 of them were fumbles because of the way this defense played. And I think a lot of that goes back to Nick Sirianni and his belief and his aggression with some of these play calling. Like, he installs a mentality with his teams. They can't stop us. We're going to go do what we do, and that's just going to be it.
So I agree, man. I mean, I was wrong. I admit it. Like I said that I can't see this guy unless he changes, which he did, in my opinion. And I firmly believe that he was on his way out in week 4. And I say that, because one thing we know about Jeffrey Lurie is he doesn't like to be embarrassed in the national media. And Nick embarrassed us, right? And and I get it. Like I've been there. Like I don't get the nickname Jigsaw for nothing. And when I coach kids, I had to give myself in the mirror to say, "Yo, dude, you need to relax." I mean, I'm ready to fight the coach on the sideline, and I'm coaching 12-year-old boys. Like, and I was like, "Yo, man, I'm not giving them a good a good example. Like, I got to calm it down." But I was just so damn passionate. Right. But I think the key with Sirianni that I don't know how deep you guys have read into a lot of things, but one thing stuck in my head was Jordan Mailata, whose father passed away, or his brother, I forget who it was. But he said every day, Nick, after practice, would get in a locker room before Jordan and write him like a handwritten note to basically like help him. Knew he was going through it. When Lane Johnson was going through his mental health issues, the first person to call him every single day was Sirianni. Not about football, just about life. Right? And that's huge. Like, right, you said, like, that's huge, man. Like, that connection, that emotional connection. And Jeffrey Lurie, what do you say? Emotional intelligence. I thought it was a joke, man. Jeffrey might have branded something, bro, because like it's for real. And I think that's the biggest thing that Nick brings to his team. And man, they all respond to it. Man, it's a really cool thing to watch.
Yeah, I think it even goes back. You remember, I don't think he really did it much this year, but you remember how he would wear when a player would go on IR and he'd wear their number on the brim of his hat during the games.
Yep.
And just the fact that he's thinking about them, or going into press conferences wearing T-shirts with a player's face on it or their image on it. He's like,
wearing, not to cut you off, but wearing wearing my man Jay shirts from Art History that I can tell you right now that Sirianni just over at the Super Bowl literally called and say, "Yo, can you overnight a bunch of gear and bought from Jet legit?" That's the kind of dude he is, man. It's really cool, man. Like I was dead wrong about this dude. I
like
really was.
Nakobe Dean, who I don't know, know if you saw this, like he was at the Super Bowl, but at the NFC Championship game, he wasn't in the building. But there's video of Nick Sirianni on the sideline FaceTiming Nakobe Dean, telling him we got it done and how important he was and making him still feel connected to the team.
It's huge, man.
Things like that.
Huge.
Like the little details like that most guys might not even cross their mind in the midst of a celebration. Let me call this guy who's not here. But he still found a way to make him feel part of it and include it.
Exactly. And you talk about a coach like that with the GM who's once again going to make sure you get paid, and a owner who's keeping his word and making sure they get paid, and an owner who's like, okay, yeah, I'll write that check. Yes, this person is worth that money. I'll put that couple $1 million up front, guaranteed, can't take it back. It's yours money. And that's how you change. That's how you establish a culture. That's how you change a culture. That's how you establish a culture. And that's how you finally become the gold standard.
I agree, man.
There you this team is the gold standard now, and you can say it now and not feel as cynical as it was. Whereas like it felt like when you heard it before, not only was the national media critical of it, but just the fan base here is like, how are you calling us the gold standard? We ain't even got no Super Bowl. It's like we don't have the championships behind it. And now you're like, okay, yeah, I see it now. The vision is clear. I see what you're trying to do. I see where you're trying to go. Okay, call yourselves that. And it's cool. And we good with
they're sticking to they're sticking to the standard, man. Right? What's Jalen said, keep the main thing the main thing. I mean, that dude is so driven. It is unbelievable. And I will say this: it's the screwed up society that we live in that people hate on Jalen because the first thing they say is not, wow, this dude's really driven. It's like, dude, this dude can't be that perfect. Like it's our society is so ass backwards, man. Like, nobody ever wants to be like, yo, what can I do to be like Jalen? No, it's like, well, how can we tear Jalen down? Because I'm not happy he's as good as he is, right? Like, we see it, amongst our space here in a digital realm. Like, everybody wants to be against each other. Like, how come he got that? Like, how about you look at what he got, how he built up to get it, and maybe you work your ass off to get the same damn thing. But it's such a jealous and hateful society. And what pisses me off is, the national media, and I know you guys see it and we all see it. And now everybody wants to start to maybe jump on, the Eagles train a little bit. And to me, they're all fraudulent. Even I'm going to say even Shady. Shady's a fraud too. Shady wants to play the game now, but if you go back a year ago and listen to Shady, he was doing whatever the cool thing was. And that was bashing some of the stuff that the Eagles did. So he can't just jump on the wagon either. Now all of a sudden it's a cool thing. So all these guys now in the national media that want to say, oh, well, you know what? Maybe we were on that, bro. Like, just stay where you are. Stay in your lane. Right? That's the lane you made. Stay in it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's just I could literally go and I could probably put my face through a wall if I listen to that all day. Like, it just kills me, man. It really does.
Just shows they need to listen to us, man.
I will say this, I was one who from early on was critical of Hurts. I had questions. I think my questions were well-founded. He answered a lot of questions. Some JB, you remember the Super Bowl year, 2 years ago. From week one, I'd say, well, I need to see this from Hurts. Week two, he'd show me that. And I'm like, okay, that was great. Now this is the next step I want, and it was almost like every
we
week
were
he would
convinced that
show me
Jalen Hurts
that little
was
bit
a
of growth, little bit
Jonesy
of
and Brown
growth.
fan. We were convinced he was watching our show. It was like
that was really almost how it felt, like the way like it
Mhm.
was like you would, and it got by the end of that year, I was like, I've never seen a quarterback improve this much this fast.
I think
Now last year
Mhm.
there were the turnover thing, but there were a lot of issues with that team last year.
Still, yeah,
Now,
I agree.
so, and this year, JB, I think you probably will remember me saying this. My question was not what Jalen Hurts' ceiling was, but how often will he perform at or near his ceiling? Because when he performs at his ceiling, this team was going to blow people out. What I've learned about Jalen Hurts is that, okay, and JB, you've heard me make this comparison before. You remember Tim Tebow we all know he wasn't actually the best quarterback, but somehow, in some way, in big moments and big games, he had an ability to raise his level of play and perform his best. Jalen Hurts starts at a higher level than Tim Tebow started at, but he still has that similar knack. Big games, big moments. I'm raising my level of play, where a lot of guys you'll see have great seasons, and then in those big moments, it kind of feels like they shrink.
It's almost the exact opposite.
Right. Jalen Hurts is the exact opposite of that. He might coast through some moments like the Browns game or a Jets game where you go in and think, oh, we should beat these guys, and he will struggle in that game. But you get him to the big moment, and he's at his best. And
I agree. I do. I mean, and the crazy part is, guys, I mean, listen, this is what his 4th year as a starter. Like the dude's in his mid-20s. Like, you know, we're not critiquing a 32-year-old Derek Carr here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I both you guys, man, like I completely agree. Like I will say I wasn't critical. But the only reason why is I was always, you got to remember, and you guys will respect, you know, I did it. A lot of my show, like most of my producers here are New York guys, right? So a lot of them are New York guys. So, you know, I always would take a bunch of flack all the time, right? Which is cool. Like it's good camaraderie. But the one thing about Jalen I've always said was it was the intangibles about him, and it was like, you know, I want a dude who's if I get an average quarterback that's driven and has the intangibles to always have an infinity ceiling, then I want that guy, right? Because I knew that this dude would not stop at anything. First one in, last one out mentality, you know, because you look around the NFL and you don't have that. Right. That's not, I mean, listen, all respect, Jaden Daniels. That's that guy. He's that dude. Right. Right. We know that. Right. You know, the knock on Lamar Jackson for so many years was maybe he wasn't that guy in the beginning and he got into that guy. Right. But very few quarterbacks, you know, are built like Jalen. So for me, I was never out on him. I've always, you know, I didn't know how great he would be, but I just thought that he would always give us enough to be that winning, to have that winning formula. So it's just crazy that the sky's the limit and he's so young, and you know, we got our guy and we don't have to question it. It's a good feeling, man. It really is.
We do. And as we move forward, because I feel like I'll let Jonesy do all the criticizing. I was not I was not as critical of Jalen Hurts because Jonesy had all the criticism, and I just like to disagree with Jonesy, so I would automatically take the other, the other angle. But I will say that I was somebody who questioned bringing him in to begin with. I was someone who said, "Hey, we have a quarterback. We have Carson Wentz. We just went through all this to get Carson Wentz." And honestly, I just feel like the quarterback position is so hard to fill that when you have a quarterback, you know, it's like we need to put as many weapons around him as possible. I was somebody who was against drafting Carson Wentz. I was someone, hey man, you got Sam Bradford, get this man some, you know, get this man some weapons. But as soon
That's
as
a tough stance right there.
look, man,
Sammy Sleeves.
Wow.
yeah,
JP, I was waiting for a little bit, but you saw something.
yeah,
You were
I
okay, man. Come
admit
on, man.
it.
You still
I
thinking
will-
about that first preseason game?
Yeah.
I was, I think whatever. I believed in Sammy Sleeves, man.
Hey,
But once you drafted Carson Wentz, and once Minnesota was willing to give up a first round draft pick for Sammy Sleeves, all right, peace out, Sammy. You bring in Carson Wentz, and he shows you that he was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had that season. He had that great MVP level season before he got hurt. Yes, he struggled coming back, but still in that season, 2 years after the Super Bowl, where he almost willed that team into the playoffs, only to get hurt in the playoff game. It's like, okay, we had,
yep.
let's try and keep him upright, and now let's try to once again build around him. And what do? They go draft another quarterback. I'm like, come on, what are you doing? But once you saw that, hey, you had something in Jalen Hurts, all right, okay, new quarterback, guess I got to get on this bandwagon.
Yep.
And here we are now, 4 years into him being a starter. Or excuse me, what is it? No.
Yeah, he just finished his 4th year as a starter.
His 4th year as a starter. Super Bowl champion.
Two Super
Bowl
one
trips,
ring.
one ring.
It's crazy.
And now
4 playoff appearances.
Yeah, and Jonesy's right, man. Like, that's the thing. There was reasons to be critical of Jalen. Like, that's the one thing. We're the most intelligent fan base in America. Like, we understand, right? I think what pissed me off was like, okay, why are we not holding the other quarterbacks to the same standard, right? You watch Josh Allen throwing shit all over the place and getting sacked, but nobody's talking about Josh Allen. But Jalen throws one bad ball, and it's like, here we go. Like, wait a minute. Like, Josh still ain't won a ring.
Yep.
Like, if we're putting him up on a pedestal, he ain't won nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, that's the stuff that would bother me. Like, you're not holding these guys accountable to the same standard. We know he had limitations. We understood that. But so did everybody. Other guys had limitations too.
Yep.
But nobody wanted to talk about that.
Oh, no. And
that's fair.
And
a lot of these guys.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of these guys definitely have their limitations. Beginning of the season, I was talking. Who we had OJ on. We were talking about the quarterback position. I made the point like there are only 2 or 3 guys in the league I think are worth that real top dollar type can carry, and everybody else is they're good, but you're going to need help around them because they have limitations.
I think the point, Jonesy, the point that you made, and it was a real point. Like, everybody can't be elite.
Right.
When you look at elite, elite ain't really good. Elite is elite. So when you say, hey, these are the elite quarterbacks, that number is small. And when you look at who at the beginning of the season, when you're talking about elite quarterbacks, who are you talking about? There's Patrick Mahomes, and then there's everybody else. And I feel like Patrick Mahomes at the beginning of the season, he was the guy who you put in the elite category without a conversation.
Right.
His resume spoke for itself. I thought everyone else needed a conversation. You want to put Joe Burrow up there? There's a conversation.
I would pay Joe Burrow because if you can tell me every other season I have a healthy Joe Burrow, that means every other season I have a shot at the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow is that good when he's on the field. Now, what the Bengals do with the roster around him, like that's a whole other conversation.
Brutal.
But he's shown on the field he is that good.
That's ridiculous. That just shows that you need to be the GM of the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think any one of us could do a better job than that GM out there.
Because when you look at the All-Star team they've let get away from Joe Burrow,
it just shows you how how ass backwards it is. They fire their defensive coordinator who actually didn't do a bad job after they let their best Pro Bowl safety go and Jesse Bates to go to Atlanta because they didn't want to pay the guy, and then you fire a defensive coordinator? Like, what? It's your damn fault they had no secondary. Not his. He actually didn't do that bad of a job with what he had.
Right.
So there's franchises, fellas, like as well as I did. They're just never going to win. They're just the way they're constructed. They'll never win because their organization is just flawed. It's just simple as that. They're just never going to win.
Right, like there are owners out there that'll check a guy's Madden rating before they make a trade.
Isn't that ridiculous? Like, what?
And all these things really make like JB laughing. That's a real story.
No, it is. That's one.
And these are things that should make us very, very, very happy about the organization we get to be fans of. Like, it's stable, well structured, not cheap. They're willing to spend on players. They're the gold standard. You have to use that phrase. That's
there
them.
You go. All right.
Yeah,
hey, real quick before we go, what are you guys' plans for the parade?
For me, man, I'm gonna do Watts party. Like I want no part of going down there. I know people talk about the experience and all that, but I'm cool, man. I don't want to do pissing next to me and throw it up behind me, and I gotta I'm good. Like so, I did when we won in what was with against the Patriots. 18. I always say 17 for sides. One of them
17th season. The
17th season
was
18,
actually February 18.
So I went to my sons at that time were I think they were like 11 and 12, but I went to a place called McGurk's in JB. You might know where that's at. It's not far from you. They had an awesome, like, you paid $20. They had a live DJ. They had all you could eat. They had contests. They had it on all screens. I was like, I was chilling. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the same kind of thing. And then I get to enjoy it, and I don't have to fight all that crap down there. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's definitely gonna be a mess down there.
Jonesy, what about you?
Pretty similar. Find somewhere quiet, away from downtown. Turn the TV on.
Yep.
And enjoy the festivities in peace and quiet.
It is crazy to hear what you just said. To hear what you just said, Tony, because I went to the parade in 18, and it's exactly how you describe it. Yes, it was somebody pissed right next to me, somebody puked right behind. Yes, it was, and I wasn't that far from the porta potties, but somebody took a piss right next to me, and I'll never forgive her.
Hold on. Oh man, man, come on.
It is what it is. It was. It was an experience I'll never forget. I'm glad I did it, but I'm telling you right now, my family thinks I'm the Grinch because they were all like, "Oh my God, we gotta go to the parade." I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. No, thanks. I'm cool.
Listen, I'm the bad guy.
I'll be the one to put the kibosh on that." And it's like
my son's 19. I was like, yeah, you're not going. I'm like, I don't care how you ain't going, bro. Like, no. I'm like, it's just not. Stay home. Trust me. Like, it's just too much going on, man. Like it's like getting down there and then getting out of there and then trying to pull. Like, dude, nah.
I admit that my children and my wife also, because my wife is not originally from this area, they don't know Philly like I know Philly. So I was able to navigate the city, figure out where to park, how to get to the art museum, how to get back, and they don't know like me. So I'm sitting there like, I have no interest in going into the city. I'm excited. I'm happy but also I got to work. But but nonetheless, I'm like, when I tell them like this is where I park, and they're like, I have no clue where that was. Like I parked in North Philly.
Yes,
and in real North Philly. It was like, so I was just happy that the car was still there when I got back to it. You know, car was still there, windows were all intact, tires still had air in it. All right, this was a good day. All right, this was a great day.
Oh, that's funny, man.
But nonetheless, I'm just like, you know what? I'm cool on the experience. I'll watch it on television.
Yep.
I'll be all right. I'm happy, and you know it is
we
what it is.
Showing our age, boys. That's what it is. We showing our age a little bit.
Hey, welcome to old, man. You know it's all right. It is okay. You know it is what it is. Tony, what you got going on, man? What you got cooking, man?
Man, where do I start? I'm just crazy, right? I'm all over the place, but I'm trying to build the Tony Cotillo show, so that's been fun. Decided to go independent, walked away from a couple things, and best probably decision I ever made. I will just re-up with VSiN. I'm taking a couple weeks off. I signed with them for football season, and it was all. And then they asked me to do NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. So I'll be doing that every Tuesday night it's late, but 12:15. That's how I'm old, right? So like I said to my wife, I gotta take a nap at like 6 o'clock. She's like, for what? I was like, I gotta be up till like 12:30. Like I gotta take a nap. Like I'm old, man. Like
so you gotta do your show tonight. You still have another show to do tonight?
No, I'm good tonight. Like I'm good. I might make some content. But I do have some decent news that I'll announce soon. But got a real big show planned for March 13th with another big personality that we've probably been talking about for about 5 years. So really looking forward to that.
Bigger than Jonesy and Brown?
I don't know if it's bigger than Jonesy and Brown. I did say one personality. Jonesy and Brown, two personalities.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think anybody can be bigger than that, right?
Well, so look, we're big personalities, but we'll share a paycheck just in if need be.
Yeah, man. Let's. You know what? I was speaking of that before I go. I want to give a shot. So I went and I like my dad's a historian. He loves obviously Philly sports. So I went last night to see Mike Silsky talk. Him and Tom McCarthy. Brought his new book came out all about the dunk, which is pretty cool. And he said something, and it resonated with me. It probably resonated with you guys too, because you guys been around just like me. And somebody asked him in the audience, and I got to respect Silsky for saying this. Somebody asked me, said, "Hey, my kid's a 19 years old. He's at Syracuse right now, and he really wants to. He's looking for it in the sports media career. Can you give him any? What advice would you give him?" And dude, he honestly was like, "Study something else." Like literally, just like that. And he went on, he elaborated, and I respect him for it because he knows what we do. Like the game has changed drastically, right? And I only want to talk about it because I sat there. This dude talked for an hour and a half, no notes, no script, did a Q&A. Dude, extremely knowledgeable. And I'm thinking, if half the cats, no disrespect, but if half the cats that have all these followers and all this traffic, if they had to do that for 10 minutes, they'd fail. And it's unfortunate, right? Because the art that we've known and what we've grown up on has really been disappearing, and it sucks. But it was just, that's why I wanted to mention, because it was a really good night. And I think that's a lost art, man. And I just wish we could get back. I really do.
You're right, man. You definitely right,
absolutely
man.
Right about that.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we are up against time, man. But look, it's been a good week, man. Celebrating this Super Bowl win. I've already gotten started, man. Look, I've already done it.
Oh, nice! You got it already framed. I like it.
It's already framed, man.
I love it.
I love it.
Got it. I got this, and I got.
Got another one.
Yeah. I got the Daily News.
Oh, the Daily. See when you got those connections, man. I couldn't even get a paper. Some people got those connections. That's all.
Shout out to all the people on my social media who are like me, who didn't realize until Monday that the Daily News is like $7.
Oh my God, is it really?
I don't know if it was special.
No, that's not even a Sunday paper. That's Monday.
Wow.
I didn't know. I don't know if it was special because of the
because of the win.
But yes, the Daily News was $7.
Wow.
And I was shocked. And then I get home and almost everybody, like on my timeline, who was Eagles fans, like, did y'all know this Daily News was $7? Like,
Wow.
what happened? I literally, and that's me showing my age. I'm like, I thought the Daily News was 50 cents.
That's the last time I bought it, I think it was 75 cents.
75 cents, less
That's
than
the last time I
$1.
bought it.
But the Daily News is like, it was $7, and I was shocked, and a lot of people were shocked. And you know, if you're like me, you're not alone. But it is what it is, gentlemen. It's been a good time talking birds with you guys. We'll definitely do it again.
Absolutely.
All right, Tony. Thank you, good brother.
Thanks for having me, boys. I appreciate it.
All right,
Always.
man. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That's the world famous Tony Cotillo, man. Jonesy, we got a week to decide whether or not we're really going to talk Sixers on this show.
All right.
I'm telling you right now, I don't have it in me to talk about them right now.
I get it. I just want to say one thing that I said about them at the beginning of the year when we had our family meeting and we discussed all the new moves and the injuries and everything else. And the phrase I used to discuss the Paul George signing was, the more I thought about it, the more this phrase popped in my head. Remember Chris Webber. All right, that's it for me.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not even going to get into that.
I'm Mike Jones.
Yes, I'm John Brown. Let us know what you think of this show. Hit us up: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twix, X, whatever you want to call it. Jonesy and Brown, or at BITW Sports. Download this podcast or wherever you get your podcast from at bitwsports.com. Like you said, he's Mike Jones. I'm John Brown. Go Birds!
Go Birds!
Go Birds! Go Phillies! Sixers! We're out, y'all. Y'all have a great weekend. Peace, y'all.